Hello everyone, my name is Michelle and today I will talk about the cross-culture and miscommunication based in the high versus low context cultures. So we have that Hal's model in 1976 explores how cultural context influences the communication, the behavior, the differences between individualist and collectivist cultures, highlighting their impact on organizational management. And the first topic is about the cultural dimensions. So we have individualism versus collectivism. For the individualist societies, as the same name says, they focus on the self. Their interpersonal relationships are often formed by mutual benefits, and their communication is direct and explicit. They don't care about what other people will think about them. They only express themselves. A few countries that use this individualism are USA, Australia, and Sweden. For the collectivism, well, we have the opposite. They focus on the group. The relationships are determined by the duty and the long-term commitment, and they use the indirect and context-sensitive communication. A few countries that use this are Japan, China, and Korea. The next one is about the power distance, high versus low. And here we have um, the differences. Meanwhile, in the high power, the power differences are viewed as natural. The low power ones, they have a preference for equality. In the high power distance, there is a clear hierarchy. Meanwhile, in the low power distance, status differences are minimized. The leaders are seen as approachable, and even the employees feel empowered to share ideas. Some countries with the high power distance are Saudi Arabia, China, and Brazil. For the low power distance, we have the Netherlands and New Zealand. For the masculinity versus femininity societies, I divided these in four aspects. The core values in the masculine are based in the achievement and the competition, meanwhile in the feminine are based in relationship and quality of life. For example, in gender norms, in the masculine is traditional distinct roles, and the feminine fluid and egalitarian roles. This means that in the masculine societies, there is a barrier, there is a wall between gender roles, as it says, distinct roles. The male, the man, has more power, has difference of power with the female people. So a few countries that has masculine aspects are Japan, Italy, and Germany. Meanwhile, the feminine are Norway and Switzerland. Well, in this slide, my camera is covering, but it says uncertainty avoidance, high versus low. So for high uncertainty avoidance, we have that the people will feel threatened by ambiguity. They have a preference for order, structure, and predictability. Employees rely on heavy detailed instructions. Meanwhile, in the low uncertainty avoidance, they have fewer formal rules, they are comfortable with ambiguity, and they are willing to take risks. Some countries that have high uncertainty avoidance are Greece, Portugal, and Russia. And for the uncertainty avoidance, we have United Kingdom, and USA. Long versus short-term orientation. Well, I divided this in 5 aspects. The time perspective. The long term, as the name says, it is future focused. Meanwhile, the short term is present and past focused. The approach to traditions, well, in the long term orientation, they are more adaptable and evolving, while in the short term orientation are fixed and deeply respected. For the values, the long term orientation, they have perseverance, thrift, and sustained effort. Meanwhile, in the short term, they have quick results and social obligations. For the work and planning, they have long-term goals, strategic thinking, and the short term, they have immediate outcomes and tactical thinking. Some countries that have this long-term orientation are China, Japan, and Germany. Meanwhile, the short-term orientation are the Philippines, Mexico, and a few states of United States. Now, miscommunication. And I summarized this in a sentence. So, what is normal for us may not be correct for other people. Communication is about verbal language, but also non-verbal language. Verbal language is every single word that comes out from our mouth, and non-verbal language is every movement, hand movement, or facial expression, or the tone we are talking, everything that it is not a word. So, some examples of miscommunication when we are having a cross-cultural situation is, for example, in some Middle Eastern cultures, maintaining prolonged eye contact is a sign of confidence, while in East Asian cultures, it can be considered aggressive or disrespectful. Okay, let's go for the next example, and it is about a German professional that may interpret a vague statement for a Japanese colleague as indecisiveness, while the Japanese colleague assumes the context makes their intention clear. We already talked about this, that some countries will use direct and explicit words for their ideas. Meanwhile, societies like Japanese or Chinese, people will talk with indirect sentences. They will have a hidden meaning. They will not talk directly. So, how the intercultural competence will help with this, and also how this is very important in the EFL classroom. The intercultural competence in ILI in 2019 said that intercultural communication is vital for promoting a world peace, stability, better international relationships, sustainable resource use, and values like tolerance and diversity. So thanks to this, we will understand how can we correctly talk or approach someone that doesn't share our culture or our language. Because as I gave some examples, what maybe is correct or normal for me or my culture, it not be correct for other people who talks another language. And as teachers that face a globalization and that have sometimes kids or students from another country, it is very important to know how to approach them. So here they are my references for the sources I used. And thank you so much for your attention.